Apple Gift Card is a practical gift that unlocks a world of entertainment and fun. You can send it via email or give a physical card to your loved ones. Your friends and family can spend it on their favorite Apple services, including Apple subscriptions. Apple Gift Card can be used to buy all things Apple: products, accessories, apps, games, movies, TV shows, iCloud Plus, and more. Visit apple.com for details and to send Apple Gift Cards to your friends and family this holiday season.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show, and in today's episode, I wanted to overall talk on my high tolerance for scary stuff, like scary videos, scary movies, definitely scary music. Like, all of the things I've came across that's, quote-unquote scary has not really been all that scary. Like when I watch like certain movies, like I be looking for like a good scary movie to watch, like a movie that's gonna be like, hey yo, like that was actually scary. Like that was some crazy stuff. But I'm like, there's definitely with the movies today, they're not as scary. Well, not even like not as scary. Like they're just not scary at all. Like I've watched them, and that's the thing that I've noticed with like scary movies is when you're watching them in a movie theater, right? Like they have like those loud jump scares that'll go off and you jump and then you think that you're scared of the movie. But that's the one thing that I've realized is that you're just scared of the jump scare. Like that's what scares a person. I be watching movies for like stories and stuff, but as you get older, as a kid, you're like, oh my God, like that movie is scary. But there's movies that I watch. Like there's a one movie called Drag Me to Hell. That movie, I remember I walked out of the movie theaters because of that movie, because I was like, it's just too many jump scares. And it wasn't even that the movie was scary, because I ended up watching the movie like afterwards, I think once when it came out on TV and stuff. And so I remember watching the movie and I was just like, this is what because I think it was when the girl, when she went to that guy, I guess to like figure out like if she was haunted or something was wrong with her. And so I remember I got to that part, and then they show like, I think it was like one last jump scare, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. But that's the thing I just don't like with movies. I'm like, it's not scary. Then there's the one movie where I think it was called it was The Visit. It was the movie about them two kids where they thought they were visiting their grandparents, but turned out they were visiting two mental patients. Like, so the backstory on that movie, and that's why I was like, hey, yo, that movie is crazy. Like, that was a movie, it wasn't like so much as that it was scary, but I'm like, because I felt scared for the kids, even though it was like, see, and that's a movie that'll get in your head to where it makes it seem like that it's a real situation. Like, you start panicking and feeling nervous for people, that's when it's a good movie. Like that's when you're sitting down thinking like, okay, like that is crazy. So this is what happened. The mom didn't even drop the kids off. I don't think she didn't drop the kids off, because of course she would have seen that those wasn't her her parents. But so anyways, so the kids end up going to the grandparents' house. The people are acting crazy, all out weird. So they're and that's what the messed up part about it was that the kids was like talking to their mom through their computer, but the one, like the quote unquote grandmother, ruined the camera on the computer. She like put some stuff on it, and so the kids was like digging at it to like fix it and stuff, and then eventually they fixed it. And then there's so they called the mom up like one last time. It was just like, yeah, they've been acting like really weird and stuff. They're even outside acting weird. And so the mom was all like, okay, let me see what they're doing to just see and stuff. So the kids, they go and like hold up the computer to the window, and the quote unquote grandparents was even looking at at the window. They were looking like out in the field or something like that. The next words that the mom said was the most craziest thing. That was the most craziest line I've heard in movie history. Cause the kids, they end up like looking at the mom to just see what she has to say. The mom looked them kids through the camera and said, "Those aren't your grandparents." At that point, I would have ran. Like, the camera would have just cut to me running. And I'm like, even though it was snowing outside, I'm like, you really think, what, a 60, 70-year-old, two old people, they're going to really chase me down? I don't care if they are track stars. Y'all ain't chasing me down, okay? Because I got nothing but fear and adrenaline running through my body. I will get tired once when I know I'm safe. But so they ended up, so she ended up telling them that, and I can't remember what this, so the kids went upstairs trying to come up with a game plan. I came up with my game plan right there. I looked at my sister and said run. But so they go upstairs trying to come up with a game plan, come back downstairs, fake grandparents then walked in the house, so they end up sitting down eating dinner. Then they really start going crazy trying to kill the kids. Then the one thing that the male, cause so the guy, like the fake grandpa, so he had like a pooping problem. That man would just poop on himself like on command, and well, maybe, all right, not on command, but he'll just straight up poop on himself. So he had all these diapers, had this barn where it was full of diapers and stuff. It was crazy. So anyways, he goes and he's fighting with like the boy in there, takes one of the dirty diapers and smushes it in the kid's face. That kid snapped, and he rightfully had a reason to snap, because I'm like, I would have went crazy after that. Like, that old man doing that to me, like, you gotta understand, like, that's gonna be in that kid's conscience for the rest of his life. And so yeah, the boy ended up killing the dude. I think he smashed his head in the refrigerator. But that movie was crazy. That was a movie where I'm like, hey, yo, that is wild. And then there's like other movies. I know there's a one movie, it freaks out my mom and sister a lot, but it just doesn't do anything for me. I remember watching that movie numerous times when I was a kid. But the movie The Exorcist. And I watched that movie, and I guess because it's an old movie, I just don't find it scary and stuff. And so then there's like other old movies from back in the day where I'm like, I don't find those movies scary too. The one movie I know people will probably ask me, and the reason why I found that movie scary is because I had nightmares about it. But the movie Signs. I think I told y'all, I was like, I had a dream. It was like some aliens was like going around killing people, and I think I ended up getting killed in the dream. And so I was like, hey, yo, I can't do nothing with that. So I'm like, yeah, that was I was like, hey, yo, like that movie freaked me out. Because there was like, it was the two scenes where I was like, hey, yo, I will watch three scenes. I will watch any other parts of the movie except them three parts, okay? If they show the aliens, I'm not looking, all right? So the first part that they showed in the movie was when, it was Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, he goes, and an alien was like trapped in his friend's house. So he goes and looks underneath the door. The alien stuck his hand out, made this loud noise. Mel Gibson cuts the alien's fingers. The alien screams. Then there was another scene where it was the dude that actually played this Joker in the movie. He goes and he's watching it's like Holcomb Phoenix. So he's watching like an alien sightings video, but it was at these kids' birthday party. I'm telling you right now, that scene freaked me out. And it's kind of a freaky scene till this day, but I'm like, I can watch that movie because I'm like, hey, yo, that was a good movie because it freaked me out as a kid. So that's what kind of type of stuff that I'm on, where I'm like, a movie that freaked me out as a kid is actually a good movie. I can say that. But so anyways, so Holcomb Phoenix is like watching his kid's like birthday on like, I don't even think YouTube had even been discovered yet, but it was just like a random video online. So he's watching it. And then it shows where the kids is like pointing out like there's something in the bushes. So they look down this alleyway. The alien walks by, staring them down. I felt that. I was there at that birthday party. I felt that. So, anyways, then it was that. Then it was the ending of the movie where the aliens had like broke into Mel Gibson's house and was trying to kill him and stuff. And so they ended up hiding down in their basement. The aliens is forever. They were like trying to bust down the door. That scene was like that gave me panic attacks when I was a kid. So because I'm like, hey yo, why won't you guys start digging a hole or something? Like just do something where you guys is no longer in that house. Like I don't care what y'all do, just do something. But anyways, so then it shows where they was like so I think the lights had went out or something like that. And then they was using these flashlights, and so the flashlight ended up like I think they was like still trying to hold the door from the aliens from like busting through, and they ended up dropping the flashlights. So the girl picks up the flashlight, and then she holds it at her brother, and he was just like, what? You see an alien hand blended in with, because there was like, I can't even describe like what it was that he was standing in front of, but it was like a thing that was a gate, but it was in the basement. And I don't know what they call it, because I'm like, I ain't never owned no basement before, so I don't know what, I don't know that basement environment and stuff. So, but anyways, you see an alien grab this kid by the neck, and I'm like, bruh, that's, and then the alien, like, it was the same alien that Mel Gibson chopped its fingers off. Then it was like they ended up going back upstairs because they thought the aliens was gone, but one was still there, and it ended up spraying some like gas stuff in the kid's face. I'm like, man, that's just go ahead and blow the alien's head off. Throughout that whole movie, they did not have no guns, and that's why I did not. Because my family, they would ask me like, why are you scared of that movie, but you're not scared of like other alien movies? I'm like, yeah, because in other alien movies, they have guns, and I feel more comfortable. That's why. That's why now when I play video games, I'm like, hey yo, if they don't have guns, I don't feel comfortable in the situation. And that's why I didn't like the one game Alien Isolation. Not because it was scary, but just because of the fact that they didn't have no guns. I was under the impression that the game was going to be something like the movies. Because I'm like, throughout them whole movies, they were shooting them aliens. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to be going up against a bunch of aliens on a spaceship? Oh, this is going to be dope. So yeah, you couldn't do that, and I'm all like, well, that's stupid. I'm like, it's nothing like the movie. I'm like, I don't want to play that. You come out with an alien game that's like the movie, and then you be shooting and killing a bunch of different aliens. I would rather. My thing is like, I would love for it to be something like that, right? Because that'd be dope. But they just was only making like a jump scare game, and I'm like, I'm not with that. So instead, jump scare stuff, I'm like, I don't care for it. I don't like it. It's like it's not because it's not scary. It's not scary at all. I watched so many movies in theaters where I can go back home and watch them, right? And then when you're watching them, like, without it being all loud and dramatic and, you know, quote-unquote scary, when you go home and watch the movie, I sit there motionless. I'm sitting there just watching it. And I'm like, huh, that was a good movie. But other than that, I'm like, there hasn't been a time where I've watched the movie. I think it was one because it was like, for some reason my family wanted to listen to it as loud as they possibly could. I'm like, hey yo, if we're deaf, I'm like, I can understand why this is being so loud, but if we're not deaf, can we turn this down please? Because it's just being loud for no reason. I'm like, because it's like, sit down and think about it, right? If you're outside and you hear a loud explosion, what are you gonna do? You ain't gonna be standing there not doing nothing. You're gonna jump because it's a loud explosion. That's why they call it an explosion. It makes you explode in a way. But anyways, but with a movie though, like it still falls like, you know, it's still the same thing where it's like, okay, you know, that loud noise goes off and you're reacting. My thing is like, you're reacting to the loud noise. So if a loud explosion goes off, it's gonna scare you, but it ain't gonna be the level of scare where how people when they watch scary movies and stuff, like when you, because I remember I think it was The Conjuring. And yeah, it was The Conjuring, and I remember this girl, she was in the theaters, like, she was actually scared of that movie, like, and that's why I'm like, with me, I'm like, I just have like a high tolerance with scary movies, because I was watching that movie, and I was like, hey, yo, this movie was dope, I like this movie, this is good, and so that, The Conjuring, those are like the only movies I have an exception to it where I'm like, okay, the jump scares, they're not scary, but the movie, like the plot and the stories and stuff, like, oh, okay, that's pretty crazy. Like, that's actually kind of scary and stuff. But other than that, I'm like, I can watch those movies, no problem. But if it's one of those movies where it's like jump scares left and right for no reason, I'm like, hey, yo, so am I watching this movie for the story? Or if I'm, and that's why a lot of scary movies just don't do good. The Conjuring, I feel like the Conjuring movies do good, but that's how they also be freaking people out, was with the jump scares and stuff. So I feel like that's why a lot of scary movies today, they just don't do as good. Because you watch those movies back in the day, like, none of those movies had jump scares. None of those movies like, oh, loud noise here, loud noise there. No, scary movies back in the day was actually, like, I have to say that back in the day, they were a lot more scarier than the movies now. Like, because I think there was a time where they did make, like, some sort of, like, Exorcist remake, but I think it was, like, The Exorcism of Emily Rose or something like that. That movie, jump scares. What other movies? Sinister. I like the storyline to it, but jump scares. Paranormal Activities. The cover of jump scares. What other scary movies? I remember there was this one movie where I thought it was going to be good. I didn't like this. My thing is, like, I liked this story all the way up until the end. And that's the one movie where I'm like, the ending is stupid, hate it. But it's the movie, so they based it off of once when that forest in Japan went viral, not because of Logan Paul, but I think the forest had went viral long before Logan Paul had his like input on it and stuff. But anyway, not trying to like stir. No, I feel like there's gonna be a day where somebody's gonna like try to send this into Logan Paul. I'm like, I know a lot of people know the Suicide Forest because of Logan Paul, but I'm just saying for myself, I knew of that forest long before the Logan Paul situation. So Logan Paul, if you ever hear this, I'm not trying to stir up no drama. I'm just talking on the movie that they did. I'm like, if anything, that movie should have been facing some criticism because, yeah, that movie was horrible. So they were overall showing where the girl, she was trying to find her twin sister out there, and because I think her sister said she was gonna go out there and kill herself. So anyway, she goes and she's tracking down her sister's like coming across like all these like ghosts and crazy things that's happening out there. So the movie was going good. But then it got to the ending and then she started sinking into the ground. And I'm like, what's wrong with her? So it turns out she was hallucinating and she slit her wrist and bled out and died. And so she started sinking into the ground. She was trying to scream for her sister. Her sister wasn't hearing her. So then her sister then looks like I don't think she looked at the camera, but she was like looking in the direction of the camera and was all like, I don't feel my sister anymore. I like, because I guess like throughout the movie they were trying to say like, oh, I know she's alive. Or the one sister that was tracking the one sister that was trying to kill herself, she was like, oh, I know she's alive. I can feel it and all of that. But I was like, that movie is dumb. I was like, why she start sinking into the ground or something? Like my thing is like, maybe if it ended with like her like walking up to her sister, like kind of like the movie Ghost, right? Where it's like she walks up to her sister and she's just not hearing her, and then it looks at her arm and her arm is like cut, and then it's like then it leads into, if the movie would have ended like that, then I'm like, oh okay, well then I'm like, oh okay, well I was like that was good. But if they had it where she started sinking into the ground, and I'm like, where does that come from? Why did she start sinking into the ground? I don't understand that. Like somebody gonna have to explain that one to me. I don't know. But anyways, but yeah, I was like, I didn't like that movie, and I think that movie did have jump scares and all of that. But I was like, but that overall proving my point. Jump scares. The movie itself is not scary. It's just the loud noises that goes off throughout the movie. If like my thing is like when you're listening to music, right? And then there's that one song where you're like, okay, let me turn this because that's next on the playlist. So let me turn that song down because it's gonna be loud and stuff. There's a few songs I have that's like that and stuff. But anyways, but when you forget and then you got like all the way up on the highest volume where you have your phone on shuffle, right? And then there's that loud song that just starts out of nowhere. It scares you because it's but the song itself is not scary, okay? It's just that loud noise that starts off with it, like it just gives you kind of like of a burst of emotion and stuff. So that's why I'm like, yeah, with I see it as that, where it's all like, hey, that movie ain't no different than like if an explosion happens in real life, or if that loud song starts up, or whatever loud noises go off and things. But I'm like, of course a person is gonna jump over a loud noise, but I'm like, if the movie itself, like that's the one thing where I'm like, I watch so many scary movies because I'm like, they're not scary, and I'm like, that's why I watch them and I'm like, okay, it's like, it's at the end of the day, it is just a movie. I know with some of them it's like they're based on a true story and stuff. I'm like, I find based on a true story movies or just other types of movies and action-packed stuff like more scarier than the movie itself, because I'm like, the movie or the like scary movies, because I'm like, it's just them scary movies, they don't do it for me. I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to find. I heard though that they say like foreign movies, that they said that those movies are scary. Like it's because I think it was one of my friends, I think she was saying, I think it was an Asian movie she was saying, where it was like, I can't remember if she said it was an Asian movie or it was something. I think it was an Asian movie, but no, because I'm like, yeah, I heard they be making some good movies. I think I watched one of them on Netflix, and it was a zombie movie, and it was funny because the dude was like, I think he was a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber or something, but a zombie apocalypse had started. And that movie was crazy because I was like, that was a movie where I'm like, hey, yo, like that would be a wild. So I was like, I related to the man because I'm like, I'm in your shoes, bruh. But I'm like, not with the zombie stuff, but with the content creating stuff. And I'm like, dang, that would be wild. But Anyways, yeah, I watched that movie. That movie was good. I can't remember what that movie was called, but I was like, hey, yo, that was a pretty good movie. But it wasn't scary. Zombie movies, though, definitely they don't do it for me. I'm like, I can watch any zombie movie possible, and I'm like, they don't do nothing for me. Now, Walking Dead, though, on the other hand, it doesn't scare me, but a lot of stuff that be happening in that show it is a little bit nerve wracking because I'm like, bruh, why do you guys do this to people? Why do you have it where we get so attached to a character? And then they just did that recently on Mother's Day. So, for spoiler alert for those that watch Fear the Walking Dead, but you hadn't seen that episode, but whatever, spoiler alert. So on Mother's Day, they decided to air this episode, and I was like, that's actually kind of sad. Dang, like you guys could have did that the week prior, or I think it was this past Sunday, but you guys decided we're gonna do this now. We're gonna do this right now. So on Mother's Day. So they decide. So anyway, so the episode it starts off with one of the characters. She's like laid out in this field. She ends up getting saved by this girl that's like, cause this is a zombie. So the zombies start walking up on the woman. And the girl ends up saving her. So later on in the episode, she finds out that that girl is her daughter, but she's like in a teenage form and stuff. So throughout the episode, she's trying to. So in reality, it was like she was dreaming, or she was in this state where she was like knocked out or unconscious or something, but she was dreaming. It was a weird episode, but it gets towards the end where she's like looking at her daughter and stuff like in a teenage form and was just all like, oh, like telling like, or throughout the episode she was just kind of like just talking with her and all of that. And so it was but they later on, that's why it was sad, because I was like, it was like that was pretty much her saying goodbye to her daughter, because the woman was pregnant, and I feel like I should have mentioned that at first. So the woman was pregnant with the supposedly not with a teenage daughter, but with her daughter. But it was, but she was just in the dream talking to a teenage version of her. And so if y'all understand that, but yeah, so she was was talking with her and stuff, and then was like, kind of like just telling her about life. And then when it got to the end where she ended up becoming like conscious again, then she gave birth, baby died. And that's how so that's how the baby had died. So she had like radiation in her, because I guess she was fooling around with this like radiation plant and got like exposed to it, and the baby had absorbed the radiation. And I was like, bro, is you serious? So that baby was just a radiation baby? Like, that's what that whole situation. And the baby had to die on Mother's Day. So I'm like, out of all the days that you guys could have chose, you decided that, you know what, we're gonna kill off your daughter on Mother's Day. I'm like, wow, that is such dark writing right there. But no, there's been other episodes of Fear the Walking Dead and Walking Dead where it's like, it's just overall been like sad and stuff. And so, and then, even then, I'm like, there's this with movies I just don't even find sad. Like, to talk on that real quick, besides like finding scary movies scary, I have like a high tolerance for like sad movies too. Like, it just really depends on the situation. But I know it was the one movie that everybody had talked on, because I remember it was a friend of mine had told me that The Notebook was sad, and then other people were saying that The Notebook was sad. My mom said that the movie was sad. And I was like, I remember sat down and watched that movie one day. And I'm like, I guess I can understand why the movie is sad, but it ain't leaving me in a state where I want to cry or something. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I guess maybe I haven't been in them shoes before, but I'm just like, I'm not really sad or anything. It's like, it's messed up, like, overall what was going on, but I'm not like, don't feel like I'm crying or anything. But then there was the one movie where the movie was it's called 7 Pounds. It was starring Will Smith and I think her name is Rosario Dawson or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, so Rosario Dawson is sick. Will Smith ends up falling in love with her. And so the movie, somebody had to later on explain to me that the reason why Will Smith did what he did was to save his organs. But so he ends up buying like jellyfish, and then goes into this like water. He ends up going into this like his bathtub, throws the jellyfish in there, latches onto him, shocks him, kills him. And I'm like, bro, that's how he decided to kill himself. He decided that he was just going to get shocked by a jellyfish. But I guess the reason why he did that was to save his organs from... I'm like, well, what if the jellyfish would have, like... I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, that was just an odd situation and things. I'm like, I feel like that movie shouldn't even been written. I was like, I remember I wanted to see a comedy movie at the time and sat down and seen that movie, and I was all like, we really sat down and watched this movie. I looked at my family. I was like, we really sat down. We watched this 2 hour movie just to find out that he ends up. I'm like, see, man. I'm like, that's why I can't. I can't do. It's just that I don't know. Sad movies just don't do nothing for me. If anything, I just get upset about the situation. I feel like the number one like sad movie would be Titanic. Like the one that at least I know of. It probably wouldn't be the saddest movie of all times, but it's one of those movies where I'm like, I guess it's sad and things, but it just doesn't do anything for me because I'm like, hey, yo, Rose could have scooted over, okay? She could have let Jack on that plank. So that's what it is, where it's like, I just find like the comedy and like sad stuff, and I'm like, wow, damn, I'm like, dang, that's best stuff. Because there was a time when I was in high school and we were watching, because we were reading a book for like an assignment, but then we had watched the movie because I think the movie had just recently came out on cable and DVD and stuff, and so we were watching the Hunger Games, and they showed when that little girl, she got shot with an arrow. She ended up getting killed, and then Katniss, she started like crying and stuff. So like I'm sitting there, I'm just like, dang, that's messed up. I was just like, dang, I'm like, that's some messed up stuff right there. But one of my friends gonna go and blurts out, man, she got an ugly cry. Except this one girl in the classroom, because she ended up getting mad, and I was just like, what are you mad for? The girl ain't dead for real. That's how I seem like most, unless it's like a based on a true story movie, then I'm like, oh, okay, well then, I just don't, I like, if it's based on a true story, then I'll see it as sad. But if it ain't based on a true story, then I'm like, oh, well, it's messed up and things, how they did that, but I'm like, I'm not gonna feel it. I'm like, that girl, she's still alive and things, and so, but yeah, I was like, but we're all looking at her like, hey, yo, you really like sad over this? Like, you really think that there's some like thing going on where they just send kids out in the wilderness in the wild and just have them kill each other? You honestly think that I'm like, unless that person is crazy, I'm like, yeah, then all them kids is crazy. If you're gonna shoot, how old was that girl in that movie? She looked like she could have probably been like 6 or 7, maybe a little bit older, possibly, I don't know. But you honestly think that they're gonna be out here shooting a 6 or a 7-year-old with a bow and arrow? And I'm like, you sit down, you think that one through? Yeah, that girl was weird, bro. That girl was madly weird, but anyways, but yeah, I was like, that's when it's like, when you can find the comedy in a sad movie, then that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just be laughing and stuff, because I'm like, yeah, if people be having ugly cries, I'm like, yeah, that's I just laugh at it. I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't, but I'm like, it's just, I can't find like sad movies. Certain movies I just can't find sad and stuff. I found deaths on The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead more sadder than because it's like that's what they do, like in them sad romance movies. It's like, oh, okay, well, if it's a sad romance movie, then somebody's gonna die or something. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, you're setting people up. Like, I guess if you're into that type of stuff, I'm like, okay, you're into it. But I'm like, with me, I'm just like, nah, not into it. I was just like, but when Glenn, though, on Walking Dead, when he died, probably just spoiled it for some people, but oh well, that episode came out so long ago, so you should have been done watched it. But yeah, when he died though in Walking Dead, I was like, well, dang, right there in front of his wife. I remember I was thinking about that not too long ago, and I'm all like, hey, yo, even though that's fake, why Negan had to do that? I was like, why he had to kill that man right in front of his pregnant wife? I was like, but Maggie, she had been pregnant on that show for like, what, 10 years or something. That girl was forever pregnant on that show. She was pregnant for a while. Now it's like everybody done age, and she done had her kid and stuff. And where is she? I think, did she name the kid Glenn? I think it was after her father. She named the kid after her father. What was her father's name? It wasn't Henry. Dang, I can't even think. Okay, hold on for a second. Let me look that up real quick. Maggie's dad in The Walking Dead. Herschel, there we go. I was close. I was like, it wasn't Henry, it was Herschel. But anyways, but yeah, I was like, dang. I was like, but yeah, that was sad. And then there was other deaths on the show that was sad too. But other than that, I'm like, I found the zombie TV show sad. But I'm like, other than that, them sad romance movies or any of that other extra stuff, I just don't find it sad. So for sad movies and horror movies, I have a high tolerance for them. I'm just like, I can watch it and just not feel nothing at the end of the day. So But anyways, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. If you're viewing this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're viewing this on the podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. Make sure you subscribe to one of my 32 YouTube channels. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram at TMossBoss. Like my page on Facebook at TMossBoss fan page. And for Rogue Energy and for SeatGeek, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss for a discount. So anyways, and that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.